me that the entire point of the European Union was CERN and the creation thereof. And I believe that I believe that a group of beings became trapped on our planet a certain few thousand years ago, maybe many thousand years ago, and they were our cousins, and they had advanced technology in which we didn't, and but they were also a more fragile race, and they lived here beside us for a long time while we were hunter-gatherers, and they became our gods, and they created civilization. If you read the books of L.A. Waddell, an Oxford linguist and historian who had the unfortunateness of writing his books in the late 20s and early 30s with the rise of Nazism, and so his books were misinterpreted later as being pro-Nazi books, but they weren't, in fact, at all. All they were was an honest scholar looking at language and seeing that the Babylonian civilization was created by these Aryans, as they were called, and these were these tall white beings, and they created civilization, and they created civilization to enslave us so that we would work farm fields and give baskets of food and meat to these gods as sacrifices. And when you look at the Hindu or the Indian Vedic texts, and you look at their songs that the peasants sing, these are songs to their slave masters, Ramayana and the rest. And these beings passed down edicts that they couldn't eat the cows, yet they had to give their best cows to them, and they would actually these animals would actually be taken according to these texts. They would bring 20 or 30 of their best cows to a cave opening or to a mountaintop, and the next day they would all be gone. And so I posit to you that these beings have been here this whole time, and we are their slaves. And they crowded us into the cities, and they put us on grain diets because that would debilitate us and destroy us, our health. And they moved us off our natural diets, and they encouraged us. They created the gods. The Akhenaten was walking down the Nile one day, and a ship came over his head, and a voice started telling him that the person inside the ship was God, the one true God. He started the religion and began decimating all the other religions all around and on the orders of this being inside this ship. And the same thing is true with Islam and how it was created. It was by Muhammad meeting a tall, strange being who told him to go out and conquer all the other religions in the name of this God. And we see this monkey work going on all through history of these beings manipulating us, and they're still in charge. And they're the ones that are behind like the secret space program and CERN. And Anthony Sanchez, who's a really good researcher, he's traced down one of these beings. Her name is Lady Barbara Judge, and she runs a corporation called Hyperion, which has offices in New York, London, Denver, and Los Alamos. And you can Google her and look at her picture, and that's sort of what these beings look like. They're our cousins, and they have these high cheekbones, and she's like a hybrid or something. I know this all sounds crazy, but interestingly enough, in relation to all this, Mac Tonnies wrote a book called Crypto-Terrestrials, which is sort of a great book on these beings, which I call archons. And Anthony Sanchez was at Dulce trying to find the opening into the base underneath Dulce, and he was fairly successful, and then he was poisoned by a woman in a restaurant who also had this very similar look to these beings. And finally, I wish that I could show you, but I will probably be putting this up on my website soon enough, and maybe I'll talk about it at ConspiracyCon. But there's a new mural at Denver Airport, and it's down on as you enter on the south side. As you enter into the train to go to the gates A, B, and C, there's a new mural there. It just came up within the last year. And it's a mural of three beings who look exactly like these beings. And there it is at Denver Airport. And so these beings are called the Archons. In the Nag Hammadi, they're talked about them quite openly, and they warn that they are imitators of reality and that they are imitating themselves as our gods. And it may even be that the story of Jesus is not the story that we think it is. It's actually the story of a guy who came out of a Gnostic school, which the Essenes, which taught about the dangers of these archons, and he recognized that the archons had taken over their holy temple and turned it into a money den, which is exactly what the archons would do, is take something sacred and turn it into something profane, like a bank. And he threw them out, recognized that they were the archons, and they crucified his ass for it. And it was a minor rebellion, I might suggest, against these beings. And these beings are working with the people I call the managers, who are the people that we know about, the bankers that we know about, Goldman Sachs and stuff. And that's the avenue that they use to move things around in a kind of a collective directorship, where a small group of people of 60 or 70 guys, mostly guys, sit on all the boards of all the major corporations. And that's how they direct reality. And they push it, and they're pushing it towards this slavery of our race, so that we never find out that we have these slave masters who are not bad people per se, or bad beings, I don't think, per se, but they don't want, they don't like to work, and they don't want us to ever work our way out of the difficulties that we as a species face, which are mostly caused by them. I know this all sounds crazy, but that's just my opinion.